Welcome to Question Bank. This is the second part of the revision of power electronics and this is the thyristor. In last video we have discussed about the power diodes and this is about thyristor, and thyristors are SCR, and thyristor is a 4-layer 3-junction device, that is, one is P, another is N minus means lowly doped N layer, then P layer and then N layer. These two P layers are similarly doped, but the N here is heavily doped, whereas the middle one, this one, is lowly doped. So we can conclude that is this one is junction 1, this one is junction 2 and this third one is junction 3, and from this P layer we have taken another line which is called gate. In case of diode there was no gate connection, only anode and cathode are present. In case of thyristor there is a gate by which we can control the turn on and turn off. So in case of diode, what we have seen, the ideal characteristic is like this. Ideal characteristic is like reverse blocking and forward conducting. But this is for diode. But in case of thyristor, there is also a forward blocking mode. If we don't supply the gate voltage or gate current, then this will be in forward blocking mode. So this one is the ideal characteristic for a thyristor. Next we will see the static VI characteristic. This is the static VI characteristic. In case of diode, this was the VI characteristic. In forward biased condition, this was the cut-in voltage, and after that it will conduct. In case of thyristor, the same characteristic is seen, but these are the voltages depending upon the gate current. If we apply more gate current, then earlier current flow will be seen. That means if, as this is given, if we increase gate voltage, the gate current, the forward breakdown voltage will decrease. That means at low forward voltage we can get the fully conduction. So this is the forward breakdown voltage, and this is for Ig4, which is the highest among the given gate currents. So in case of reverse bias condition is similar that to the diode. That means like this, and if we increase gate current, so what will happen, the reverse breakdown voltage, that is VBRR, reverse breakdown voltage, will be same, but the leakage current will increase. If we increase the gate current, reverse leakage current will increase. So here are the latching current and holding current. Before that I want to discuss the main mechanism. So in case of reverse, there are three modes in case of thyristor operation. First one is reverse blocking mode. First thing, for reverse blocking mode, the diode is in reverse biased this is the thyristor is in reverse biased condition. And in case of reverse biased condition, suppose this is in reverse biased condition, that means we have connected negative here and positive here to the diode, to the thyristor. So what will happen, and no gate current or voltage is provided, no gate excitation is provided. So this is J1, this is junction 1, this is junction 2, and this is junction 3. As this is positive and this is this one is positive and this one is negative, what will happen? Here negative, here this is P and N. So J1 will be reverse biased, J1 will be reverse biased, J3 is also reverse biased, whereas here N connected to the negative and P connected to the positive. So J2 will be forward biased in case of reverse blocking mode. So what will happen? J1 and J3 are reverse biased, whereas J2 is forward biased. When voltage increases above VBRR, that means the reverse breakdown voltage. Here I have seen if voltage increases the reverse breakdown voltage, then avalanche occurs and the device is damaged and current starts to flow. High current will be flow in reverse blocking mode if current voltage increases the reverse breakdown voltage, then it will happen. So next is the forward biased. In case of forward biased, what we do? This is the forward biased condition. If we connect anode to the positive of the source and negative to the cathode, then what will happen? Here is P and N. P is connected to positive terminal and N is connected to the negative terminal. So J1 will be forward biased and J3 also forward biased, and J2, here N is connected to positive and P is connected to negative, so J2 will be reverse biased. So here J1 and J3 are forward biased and J2 is reverse biased. Due to this J2, this does not conduct current through it. And if in case of forward biased condition, if the voltage increases above the forward breakdown voltage, then J2 breakdown of the J2 occurs. This J2 will break down and it will flow current, and this is also the damage of the device. In case of characteristic, if this increases above this one, that is breakdown voltage, then it also passes the current. So here V2, if V, that is supplied voltage, is greater than forward breakdown voltage, then J2 will be undergo the breakdown and it will allow the current to flow through it and the device will be damaged. The next thing is that forward conduction mode. Here J1 and J2 are forward biased condition, J1 and J3 are in forward biased condition, only J2 is in reverse biased condition. So if we make J2 is to forward bias, then it will allow the current. So how we can do that? If we supply positive supply to this one P, then the depletion region around the J2, suppose this is the depletion region, it will be the layer of the depletion region, width of the depletion region will decrease and it will start conducting. So if we apply a gate voltage, positive gate voltage to the gate or the middle P, then J2 will be forward biased and the whole thyristor will allow the current. So here J1, J2, J3 all are forward biased and a gate current is provided. So here thyristor conducts current from anode to cathode with a very small voltage drop across it, that is around 1 to 2 millivolt. So here the two terms coming which are more important, that is latching current and holding current. What is latching current? The minimum value of anode current which it must attain during turn on process to maintain conduction even if the gate signal is removed. That means if we removed gate signal after the conduction, the thyristor still conducts the current, but the current should be more than the latching current. So this is the latching current. And what is holding current? The minimum value of anode current below which it falls, the SCR will turn off. So if we want to turn off the thyristor, then we have to decrease the current through the thyristor below that holding current. These are the definitions. And always latching current is greater than that of holding current. So how to remember this one? Suppose L, latching current, I will denote it as L, means low, and holding current H, this is holding current and I will denote it as H, that means high. But we have to remember the opposite, that means latching current IL is greater than IH. That means here I have denoted L as low, but we have to remember that this is high. So latching current is always greater than the holding current. So next is the gate characteristic. If we supply gate voltage or current to the thyristor, what is the gate characteristic we are getting? So this is the gate characteristic, and here is the maximum gate voltage that can be supplied to a thyristor. This is the maximum gate voltage and this is the maximum gate current. So operation should be within this region. So here is the load line. So load line should be within this region for proper operation. And next comes, what are the characteristics of gate? Here is another minimum gate voltage and minimum gate current. This is the minimum gate voltage. This is the minimum gate current and this is minimum gate voltage that are required to turn on a thyristor. And here is another VNG, that is VNG is called the non-triggering gate voltage. What is its significance? Non-triggering gate voltage is the voltage below which all the unwanted signals should be. That means all the unwanted signals, that means non-required signals, should be less than non-triggering gate voltage. So this is the gate characteristic. Next comes the triggering methods. What are the triggering methods to turn on a thyristor? So there are 5 triggering methods. First one is forward voltage triggering. That means, as I have explained previously, that if we increase voltage above that forward breakdown voltage, so what will happen? The avalanche occurs at the J2 and it will conduct current. So this is the forward voltage triggering, that is at forward biased condition, if voltage is increased above forward breakdown voltage, the avalanche occurs as a J2 and conduction continues. So next is, this is not preferred. And next is the gate triggering. In forward biased condition, if a positive gate voltage is applied between gate and cathode, it will forward bias J2 and will conduct the whole thyristor. So this is the actual method for triggering a thyristor. And never we apply the voltage which will exceed that forward breakdown voltage. So third one is dV by dt triggering. Third one is dV by dt triggering. So what is dV by dt triggering? This is an turn on method, but it may lead to destruction of SCR, and so it must be avoided. And why dV by dt? So I can explain here as dV by dt triggering as J2 in forward biased condition. J2 act as a capacitor called junction capacitor. Here I have written junction capacitor. So we know that IA, that is current through the diode, is dq by dt, that is the charge per time. This is the definition of current. And charge is the, in terms of capacitance, charge is CV, that means capacitance into voltage. And what is the capacitance? This is junction capacitance and the voltage applied. So as junction capacitance is constant, it will be dV by dt. That means current is directly proportional to the rate of change of voltage. So if we increase rate of change of voltage, the current conduction through the diode, through the thyristor, will increase. So it may cause breakdown of the J2. So this is also not a proper method. So last two methods are temperature triggering and light triggering. In case of temperature triggering, this is also preferred but limited. Leakage current is temperature dependent. Leakage current, forward leakage current, is temperature dependent. As I have already shown in characteristic, if we increase temperature in case of diode, then earlier breakdown occurs and flow occurs. So if we increase the temperature, the leakage current will also increase and heat dissipation of the at junction 2 occurs. So when this heat reaches the sufficient value, J2 will break down and this will start conduction. So this is not a proper method. This is used but not a proper method. The last one is the light triggering. If light intensity increases, then the availability of the charged particle or the charge carrier increases at the junction. So it leads to turn on the thyristor or SCR. This is also known as light activated SCR or LASCR. Next is the switching characteristic. Like in diode, there is also the switching characteristic of a thyristor, and the one more thing involved here is the gate current or the gate signal. So here are many things we have to discuss. So I am not going to discuss all the things. I am going to only discuss the important things. That is, first one is here. This is TD, that means delay time, and it's everything has its own definition. TD has definition, TR has definition, and TP also definition. And here TP is the spread time, and TR is the rise time, and TD is the delay time. And TD is defined as, here TD, if we consider TD, this one is TD or this one is TD. That means from VA to 0.9 of VA. That means anode voltage when decreases from its initial condition to the 90%, then it is called a delay time. And what is rise time? Rise time is from 0.9 to 0.1 of anode voltage. This is called rise time. And if we get in terms of current, then it will be 0.1 of anode current to 0.9 of anode current. That means from 10% to 90% of anode current. And then is the spread time. Spread time is the from 0.1 of anode voltage to the final value. That means this is the spread time. And in case of anode current, this is from 90% to 100%, that is of load current. So these are the forward characteristic, this is the switching characteristic, and this is for turn on method. And for in case of turn off time, there are, this is just like diode turn off time, there is a reverse recovery time, and TQ, this is called turn off time. TQ is equal to TRR, that is reverse recovery time, plus TGR, that is gate recovery time. This is gate recovery time and this is reverse recovery time. And what is reverse recovery time? From anode current becomes 0 to reverse recovery current has fallen to 0. This is the reverse recovery time from here to here. And what is TGR? TGR is the to recover all the charges which are stored near J2. As J2 acts as a capacitor, this is the the gate recovery time. And for turn off time is influenced by many of the factors that should be noted down. First one is magnitude of forward current, magnitude of forward current. Next is the di by dt at time of commutation. Commutation means turn off. Next is the junction temperature. These three things affects or influences the turn off time of a thyristor. And another thing we have to note down that if turn off time doubles, if temperature doubles. If we double the temperature, junction temperature, then turn off time will double. And next thing is turn off time decreases with an increase in reverse voltage. Next is it is essential that the thyristor is reverse biased for a finite period to make it turn off. Next one is thyristor with a slow turn off time is from suppose 50 to 100 microsecond. These are called, this is slow turn off time, and these are converter grade thyristors. And if fast turn off time is generally 3 microsecond to 50 microsecond. These are inverter grade thyristor. And always circuit turn off time is greater than the device turn off time. That means if the whole circuit containing many more thyristors has turn off time Tc, then it will be always greater than the device turn off time. That means the turn off time of one single thyristor. So next comes our thyristor protection. And first one is the over voltage protection. Over voltage protection are of two types, for internal over voltage and for external over voltage. For internal over voltage as caused during the commutation, high di by dt, here is the di by dt here, commutation di by dt. This, if this di by dt increases, then this will cause high voltage across the thyristor. So to avoid this one, we have to use parallel RC Schnorr circuit. This we have to remember for which protection, which device or which connection is used. So here is the thyristor, and here is the parallel RC Schnorr circuit, and another is the external over voltage. For external over voltage, the causes are sudden transformer switching, lightning surge, sudden interruption of connected inductive loads, or arc voltage due to sudden operation of DC switching. These are the causes. And what is used for the protection? Generally voltage clamping devices like metal oxide varistor, selenium thyrector diodes, and avalanche diodes suppressors are used. This is the device used for protection of external over voltage. We have to remember this one. Next is the over current protection. And why over current occurs? Due to short circuit. And what is used for the protection? Generally CB, that is circuit breaker and fuse, or both circuit breaker and fuse are used for the protection of over current. Also here electronic crowbar circuit may be used. The next one is di by dt protection. High anode current di by dt leads to non-uniform heat distribution in the device, and then local hotspot will be arise and it will damage the device. So for this type of protection, we have to use an inductor connected in series. So here this one is for di by dt protection. Next one is dv by dt protection. If high dv by dt in forward biased condition occurs, then it will cause false triggering. If we don't want to trigger, but dv by dt, high dv by dt may trigger the thyristor to make it turn on. So this is called dv by dt triggering, false triggering. So what we used? This is RC Schnorr circuit, also used for dv by dt protection. Next is the gate protection. For gate protection, gate over voltage causes gate circuit false triggering. This is also false triggering, and the whole thing is this circuit is used for the gate protection. Here main thing is to maintain the voltage, and we are knowing that to maintain the voltage Zener diode is generally used. So for gate protection Zener diode is used, and this is for over current protection. This is for di by dt protection, and this is the main device, and here is the varistor or voltage clamper. As I have told here, what is that? Voltage clamping devices or metal oxide varistor or selenium thyrector diodes. This is the thing, and this is the Schnorr circuit. If we want to know more about Schnorr circuit, then there are also calculations which includes Schnorr circuit, but here we are skipping this one, not going to deep inside the Schnorr circuit. Next is coming series and parallel operation of thyristor. Why we need series and parallel operation? For series operation, if high voltage is required, suppose one thyristor has rating of 100 volt, suppose 100 volt, and we require 1000 volt. So if we connect 10 such thyristors, then we can get a thyristor of 100 for 1000 volt application. So here I have written SCS as connected in series for high voltage application and in parallel for fulfilling the high current demand. So string efficiency in parallel or in series, this is called the string, and the string efficiency is always actual VRI rating of the whole string by individual. Suppose I have connected 3 SCRs in series, then the actual rating, suppose this is I, actual rating is IA, then string efficiency will be IA by, suppose it has only current rating, suppose IS, then it will be IS into 3, and similar in case of voltage. And string efficiency is always smaller than 1, and there is another term is derating factor, which is 1 minus string efficiency. And if we talk more about this one, so if we talk more about this one, during transient conditions, static equalizing circuits are used and not the sufficient for the, and here there are, this one is called equalizing circuit to maintain constant voltage across the thyristors, and this one is dynamic equalizing circuit, and the equal resistances are called the static equalizing circuit. And static equalizing circuit is used for static maintaining voltage, constant voltage across the thyristors in case of series connection, and dynamic is used for maintaining constant voltage across the thyristors at transient conditions. And in case of parallel operations and VI characteristic, all the thyristors must be identical for equal sharing of the current. Next is for satisfactory operation of SCR, they must get turned on at the same time. And last one is the minimum forward voltage for a gate drive below which an SCR cannot be turned on is called finger voltage, and all SCRs should be operated at the same temperature. So when we operate the many more thyristors, then they should be kept in heat sink, symmetrically connected to the heat sink, so that temperature of the all the thyristors will be same. Sharing of the voltage between thyristors operating in series is influenced by static VI characteristic and leakage current. So this is the end of this topic, and thank you for watching up to here.